Fine, let's do Jaylen Brown now.
That's executive of the year, Brad Stevens.
How in the world did they trade Jaylen Brown for just Paul George and 2 first-round picks? Speaking of crowns, let's talk about the king.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's talk about the king. Let's talk about LeBron James and where he could end up. And my goodness, as wild as it is with LeBron and the LeBron decision 3.0, I don't want to count 2.0 because or the Lakers move I don't think was decision 3.0. I think this is decision 3.0. Fair? Or is it just 2.0?
I almost think it's just 2.0. I feel like even when he left Miami, it was so clearly Cleveland.
Yeah.
And then Lakers was just kind of in the dead of
so
night.
Decision
this feels
2.0.
like the second biggest LeBron offseason to me.
Same. This feels like the biggest one since the first one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on the same boat.
Decision 2.0.
I forgot what it felt like, to be fair. I forgot what a true LeBron watch
like free agency.
This has been wild. I have not been on LeBron watch since that first decision.
Oh, yeah. This is a blast. I love it.
Yeah. Where will he end up? Well, we know he's leaving the Lakers. He's not going back to the Lakers, at least as of now. The Lakers made a ton of moves. We'll start there. We're going to dive into Jaylen Brown and that trade coming up in a minute because, well, the Boston Celtics got robbed, and they need to call 911 because of what they did willingly. What is it funny? I think it's true. Fine, let's do Jaylen Brown now.
That's executive of the year, Brad Stevens.
How in the world did they trade Jaylen Brown for just Paul George and 2 first-round picks? Second-round picks don't matter. They're pennies. They're pennies in your car that you keep there just in case you're trying to get to $1, get to a whole number.
At least they held on to Baylor Shireman and Hugo Gonzalez through the Giannis negotiations. Because now you got Paul George on his $100 million contract. I don't think that's where any Celtics fans want to be.
I would rather give up Jaylen Brown in every first-round pick I could for Giannis than this trade. And I don't even know how many that is. But at least you're getting Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and the holdup was
Paul
Hugo
George.
Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Paul George.
Yeah.
In the year 2026?
They were the betting favorite for Giannis
worst
most of
contract
the
in the
summer.
league,
They were
one
the
of them.
betting favorite in the Eastern Conference before they blew a 3-1 lead to the Sixers. And now you turn around going into next season, and their lineup is significantly worse in a conference where almost every other team is getting better.
You know what they said? They said, we lost to the Sixers. We blew that lead. It's because we didn't have Paul George.
That's right.
And then they went out and they got their guy.
Playoff P. Everyone knows he's a riser in the playoffs.
Now, I mean, I looked at this trade and I was like, the Cavs could have done this and they could have kept Mobley and they could have kept the core.
I do wonder that. Like, Cavs, certainly a team. The Warriors are looking to add. The Nuggets are looking to shake things up. Like, could you have gotten Jamal Murray in picks? Would you rather that than Paul George's contract? Like, probably for Boston.
Yeah.
Depends on what picks and all those things, and I'd have to look at the contracts. But how is this the best you do?
Right.
Like, if this is the best, this deal is probably always there. Paul George's bad contract at nearly 7 years old in 2 1s.
So much of the conversation around these negotiations between Boston and Philly is that Boston was hung up on VJ Edgecombe as the main return for Jaylen Brown. And then Philly essentially said, no way, those conversations can't even get off the ground. And then Boston pivoted to Paul George and 2 firsts. So in everything that we've learned about this trade since it happened, I feel like there's a gap there. There's something missing between shifting from VJ Edgecombe to Paul George and a couple firsts for your finals MVP, borderline face of your franchise. Jaylen Brown, I'm not the biggest Jaylen Brown fan, but he's certainly one of the best players in the league when he's on the court in pure production. And I wonder if this is just the Celtics overplaying their hand. This is the 3rd offseason in a row. He's been in loud trade discussions. Maybe they didn't see a route where he could be back on that team in a productive way, and that bridge was burnt and they had to move him, and teams lessened their offers. Because we were talking about Evan Mobley's for Jaylen Brown, and some of these trade packages were up there with Giannis level trade packages, and then he gets flipped for this. I just don't understand what happened over the last few months.
Yeah. If his value is going to drop this far, I would have held. You don't sell the stock there just because it starts collapsing. Rebuild it somehow.
Yeah.
And sometimes rebuilding it is just leaving the negotiating table. And apparently it was the opposite. Shams Charania yesterday was like, yeah, they were really making calls and shopping Jaylen Brown. And, like, no matter how toxic it had gotten, fake it. Yeah. Pretend that you love him. Pretend that things are all right. Pretend that everything's great. And then move him. That's it. If it's 30-year-old Paul George, fine, it's a wash. It's not. If it's Paul George where you know he's going to stay healthy, you think he's going to give you 70-plus games a year, fine. Very similar players. That's not. So this would have been a non-starter for me. I wouldn't have done it without multiple other assets. And part of it is you're trying to win now, and you're not better now. And so maybe they flip Paul George. Maybe there's another move. Maybe they take those picks and do something else. But as of now, it doesn't make much sense to me.
I hope they flip Paul George because Paul George has now been traded for SGA, Jaylen Brown, Domantas Sabonis, Victor Oladipo, Danilo Gallinari, 7 first-round picks and 5 pick swaps in his career. So he is the most valuable player on the trade front in the history of the NBA. I want to add to that list. Let's flip him, Boston, for another star, a young player, some more picks. Grow the Paul George return as big as you possibly can.
Sign and trade. No. Right now, there's just no one that's going to take that. Like NFL or NBA people thought that the 76ers would have to attach an unprotected first-round pick to Paul George just to move him. Like, that was a week ago.
Yeah.
That was the case in the thought. And I was thinking, like, I wonder what team, like, do the Wizards try to do that? And so maybe that's it. Maybe if you're Boston, you try to go get AD. Take Paul George, you try to get AD. And, like, that's it. I don't understand. And so that's one. On the other side, Philly, they get Jaylen Brown. It makes it way more interesting. And there was Tony Jones of The Athletic reporting that LeBron James, that there's interest from the 76ers. And so this is another team. The Denver Nuggets have been tied to LeBron now and showing interest. Obviously, they have Jokic. They need to add to their roster. Philadelphia 76ers making a move. And then we also have, obviously, the Cavs, Miami Heat, and Golden State Warriors very much in LeBron pursuit. It's going to be interesting.
A second chance for LeBron. Should have picked the Sixers when he went to LA.
I disagree with that.
I think that was his best chance to win a championship.
Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons is playing a much different role with LeBron on that team than he ended up playing as the focal point of that team. I think him with Embiid and Jimmy Butler would have been really sweet together and probably won a championship. So I think he should go there again if they're on the table. I think it's probably the best core for him to join and slide into the East and compete for a championship this year.
That wouldn't have happened. He wouldn't have been able to take a max. None of that would have happened unless he would have taken less money. This is the first time.
They had the billboards up.
That's why. Well, sure, Philly. Yeah, of course. 2018 LeBron. Everybody wants 2018 LeBron. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That being said, that's what makes this free agency period so interesting. Is LeBron? He's going to take less. He's not going to get a max deal. Is he waiting for the Cavaliers to add and do the Jaylen Brown? Like, if they could have added Jaylen Brown, is LeBron a Cav right now?
Potentially.
It would be done in my mind.
Yeah, right? So, like, that's what I think is interesting now is he's watching these teams, and if he's willing to sign for less than he's ever signed before, from a salary standpoint, what are these teams willing to do to get that deal done and then also get LeBron in town?
No, it's a great question, and that's what makes me wonder, like, how long is this going to be dragged out when on LeBron watch, and is he really going to wait until the very end of free agency once everything kind of falls into place for all these other teams to make his movement and to pick where he wants to play next?
And so much of the conversation that, his agent, Rich Paul, is meeting with every team in the league until the teams are dropping out of contention for him, and so far we've seen the Spurs and the Lakers be removed from that watch, but I have a hard time believing LeBron's actually talking to every team.
Right.
He's not going to, go play for Memphis or some of these small market teams. That's not on the table in my mind. So I think it's really a 5 or 6 team race with 3 clearly ahead, and it's the 3 everyone's been talking about. It's Miami, Cleveland, and Golden State, with a couple others throwing their hat in the ring. Denver was mentioned obviously by Wendy yesterday, and I think Sixers would be really, really fun. But I still just imagine that those 3 are worlds ahead of the other 27 in the league when you're looking at where LeBron will play next year.
They replaced him in LA with Sandro Mumushkavili.
That's right. Well, they replaced him the same way Cleveland tried to replace him, with Colin Sexton.
Also that one. Colin Sexton.
Yeah, that's wild. That's happened twice now.
Mumushkavili, Quentin Grimes, and a trade for Walker Kessler. Ooh. The Lakers making huge splashes in the post-LeBron James era. So now, you see Walker Kessler there. They gave up a ton. You see Colin Sexton there, a man I covered in Cleveland, and he could certainly get you buckets off the bench. Quentin Grimes, a nice 3-and-D type player. I think could possibly start alongside Luka. We'll see there. We'll see. And then Mumushkavili. I think I'm nailing that name. Probably not, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sandro was a guy I wanted the Pacers to sign really bad this offseason. Sandro Mumushkavili.
Mumushkavili, yeah, I think that's it. Buy or sell that the Lakers with these moves are better now than when they were a week ago?
Oh, I'm selling that. I think maybe they're better on opening night, but the whole franchise is cratered for the next decade at this point. I mean, it's absolutely horrible roster building by Rob Pelinka.
Cratered for the next decade.
He woke up on
Luka.
Yeah, and nothing else. They cratered for the next decade. Rob Pelinka woke up on the second day of free agency and said, I'm going to use every dollar I have and try to bring everyone in and end this in an hour. So they've no tradable first-round picks for the next 7 seasons and have committed $475 million to the big three of Luka, Austin Reeves, and Walker Kessler. Yikes. Not loving that.
Yeah, better than the Pacers. Yes or no?
No.
I knew that's how it would be.